Show after a quick word from FanDuel. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if you win. Right now on FanDuel, you can bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and so much more. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and shoot your shot. FanDuel, an official partner of the NBA. Our winning ticket comes from our guy Butters. You remember Butters, who came in the Kool-Aid suit when the Browns made the playoffs? He hit a nice 10-part same-game parlay on the Super Bowl yesterday, turned $5 into $55, so 11-1 odds on some alternate spreads. But shout out to Butters, a 10-part same-game parlay. I found out Butters' name is Brandon. He's come in studio, had no idea what his real name was. When Butters left after coming in with the Kool-Aid, myself, Earl, and Ant looked around. We're like, I don't know if we know Butters' real name. And we learned it's Brandon because he tweeted us on FanDuel. If you have a winning ticket, make sure you send it to us on FanDuel.
That's kind of risky. We let a guy in the building whose name we knew about his name was Butters.
We've met him in person a couple times. He came to the card show when we were out there.
Right.
He came in. He brought us the Kool-Aid that we made. So
How did you put him on the guest list upstairs? Butters will be coming in to see us?
Well, James just calls me when we have a guest upstairs and says I got a guest coming. So it worked out. But shout out Brandon/Butters. Congrats on the win. If you have a winning ticket, make sure you send it to us on Twitter or via email. Let's start with the big question from the Super Bowl, though, yesterday, guys. It went to overtime. I'll start with this. Did you know the NFL had changed the overtime rules? Because, hand up my bad, I did not know the overtime rules were changed. I also did not know that the players were unaware of the rule change. It's one thing for me not to know. I feel like it's a whole different situation for some San Francisco 49ers players who, after the game, admitted they were unaware of this new NFL rule change.
Reminded me of when I think it was Russell Wilson. I can't remember.
No, it's Donovan McNabb and the
Donovan McNabb. He thought that back when it was sudden death, he didn't know that the game was over on the first score, which that was bizarre because those rules had been in existence for a million years. I do think that we talked about this, Mike, at the owners' meetings after they changed the rule. I feel like we talked about the rules committee had approved a change to the overtime rules, but nobody remembers it. That was months and months ago. But when they put the rules up and they were explaining it, I was like, wow, this is the first game that we've ever used this in.
I mean, I knew the rules had changed, but I'm not going to lie. I really didn't know the details of the overtime rules or how it would play out. But to me, there's no excuse for the players not to know. And if the players were ignorant enough to not know, then that's on your head coach to inform you on what's going on. I read the article that was put out before we came on the show. The chief safety, Justin Reed, said they've been talking about this game planning for this since training camp.
Sure.
Chris Jones said they've been planning for this for the last 2 weeks. So if you are a player in the NFL and a rule change takes place, it's kind of like if you work a job, right? And the guidelines or the business manual, and there's a change to it. As an employee, you have an obligation to read up on that because ignorance is not an excuse.
You're right.
Right? It can never
be. You.
It's on you.
Yeah.
And then if you don't know, then it's on your head coach to make sure that my team is informed and understand what the rules are. Yeah. The good ones have contingency plans. The good ones over-communicate. The good ones over-inform. And you fail to serve your team in the best way possible because they were ignorant to the moment.
Yeah, it's a great point.
Y'all been fleeced twice. Today, I'm going to prove, and hopefully I do a good enough job of this as the totality of my argument comes to, comes to the table. There's right now, there's only one team really out here trying to win, and that is the Kansas City Chiefs. There's a lot of teams, whether it is financial, whether it's game plan style, whether it's preparation, whether it's understanding the moment. The Kansas City Chiefs continually, at every corner, figure out a way that they want to win no matter what. If you are in the Super Bowl and it's the pinnacle of your career, and the fact is you may never, ever get back there again. Some people just take for granted you're going to be somewhere. No, it don't work that way. Ask Dan Marino how many times he was in the Super Bowl after he won his rookie year. It just goes to show you that once you get there, you got to be prepared at all levels and be prepared to do all kinds of things. And I love what Chris Jones said. He said if they would have scored a touchdown, we was going for two. it just shows me the mind state of what the Kansas City Chiefs is doing on all different levels, on every level as an organization, is saying that they want to win at all costs. And these other teams come bubbling in, and the San Francisco 49ers, it's unacceptable. Unacceptable. How do you not know the rules? This is a game that's like being like, oh, you don't know how to go to break on time. McNuggets tells you it's a break. He just told you 4 seconds ago. You still not in break though. I don't understand how that's your craft and you don't practice. You haven't even put yourself in that situation. It's kind of funny, man.
What we saw, and I think it was further confirmed this morning when we really started hearing the stories about they just were not informed.
Right.
I thought this watching the game. After the first, there were 2 points where I said the Niners are going to definitively lose this game. The first one when they went 3 and out after the Mahomes interception. Mm-hmm. A Mahomes mistake in a playoff game comes less frequently than leap year. He gave you a gift. And great teams make sure they capitalize on gifts. What did the Chiefs do after the muffed punt? One play, dagger. That was the game. That play, those two play sequence, game. Kansas City knew after the muffed punt, we got a gift. We gave them a gift, and our defense forced them to 3 and out. We got to put our foot on their throats. Mm-hmm. So all throughout the game, to me, it was a display of a masterclass by Andy Reid on how to coach in a mammoth game. By Kyle Shanahan, he is a poser. That's what Kyle Shanahan is in terms of a great coach. He is great with schemes. He is great with offensive X's and O's. He is great with a lot of the game, like in a micro. This play, it's brilliant. This play, it's brilliant. But your play sheet can be better than the other guy's play sheet. But if the other guy uses his play sheet better, he trumps your great play sheet. I think Kyle Shanahan's plays are just better. That's saying something because I think Andy Reid is second only to Kyle Shanahan in terms of developing great offense. But this dude can't coach at the big moment. And not having his team. When you make the Super Bowl, you sit your whole team down for a seminar and you talk about this is what we're going to expect. For those of you that have been here, I want you to speak. For those of you that haven't, I want you to listen. Oh, by the way, there's a major rule change that could come into play that we need to know about. And we need to be prepared for what to do in that situation. And they fumbled that.
Yeah, they did.
I just think they didn't capitalize on the few mistakes Kansas City made, and Kansas City did.
And this is why I always give Kevin Stefanski love. Because, Jay, we've talked about it. G, we've talked about it. There are so many unwritten intangibles that goes into being a good head coach. Yeah, you can be a mastermind of putting a scheme together, but you also got to be a leader of men. You also got to be able to be that dude that can keep everything composed, right? You know, I'm a NASCAR guy. And to me, football is a lot like NASCAR. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint, right? You have to be able to adjust, overcome, take your time, and just make sure that you got the best car at the end of the race so that you can come away victorious. What I saw in that game, early on in that game, it was almost like Kyle Shanahan set his team up for like a short run. Kind of like they set up a car for a short run.
Oh, they looked great to start the game.
They looked great to start. But you know what happened? What I peeped? That first drive, before Christian McCaffrey even fumbled, Trent Williams, all-pro tackle, arguably the best in the game, right? You get 15 yards and penalty to put your team behind the chains. He ends up fumbling the football. To me, San Francisco messed around and they found out because you have more opportunities to kind of seal their fate, put this game away, and you didn't capitalize on their mistakes. You made mistakes of your own, and you didn't capitalize on big moments. Meanwhile, Andy Reid is setting his team up for the long run. This is a 400-mile race. All we got to do is make sure that we got the best car in the last 10 laps, and we going to make sure we good. And sure enough, the cream rolls to the top when it mattered the most.
As it usually does.
As it usually does.
Yeah, listen, you got to bury these dudes. I was looking up, we was in the house, and my dad was like, man, we looked at each other. I said, oh, yeah. Y'all doing a nice little job or whatever it is. But y'all going to look back and y'all going to say, we should have been up 27-0. We should have been up 21-3. We should have been up. You looked up. They dominated for most of the game and looked up and was down 13-10.
Yeah.
I said, that's game. Because you gave Patrick Mahomes a rock back. You didn't capitalize. You got multiple fumbles. During that game, somebody asked me, I put it on Twitter, it looked like the Chiefs was shook. They was making uncharacteristic mistakes.
Kelsey's knocking over Andy Reid.
And see, here's the thing. I'm an emotional guy. I didn't like that, man.
I hated it.
I'm like, bro, come on, bro. You doing too much. I know your girl here. I know the people looking at you. But look, bro, stop running up on elderly people. Calm down.
That's not the first time he did that.
But that's to me that's
he's an emotional guy, but it almost got the best of him.
That's a sucker move. But he's been emotional like that in this postseason. I didn't like the look. They won the game because they had Patrick Mahomes. Let's be clear. That's
it.
He made plays when he
and
needed
a great
to.
defense.
And Chris Jones didn't play well. But you know that's what to beat the Chiefs. I want everybody to look around in the league. Whatever you're doing right now is not good enough. No. Whatever you're doing, saying that we're gonna stay the course and whatever we did last year was good enough, it is not good enough to beat the Chiefs. Tear it down and figure something else out.
Mike, you had a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask. So Shanahan in overtime decided to take the ball first.
Yeah, I would have done it.
Without the context at the moment, it was all kind of confusing. Was that the right move? Was it not? Yeah. ESPN ran a simulation. It says about 50-50. But did you think, and obviously hindsight's 50-50. We all know the outcome. But
right.
Knowing the new overtime rules as we do now, even if they scored a touchdown, Kansas City had a chance to match it. Do you still think if the Browns are ever in that scenario, would you want the ball first, second? What would you do if you were Kyle Shanahan in that situation?
Always. I want it second. You know whether or not you have to go for it on fourth down. It's just like college overtime. Yeah. You know, it's 4th and 1. Do you kick the field goal? You don't know what your opponent's going to do. Information is power. The Chiefs had the information. Oh, a touchdown for us wins it.
Right.
So they had a 4th and 1 that they obviously had to go for.
Right.
There were key moments all up and down this game, and in the key moments, Kansas City won them. The 2 3rd and 4s that I talked about.
Yep.
The 3rd and 4 in regulation, where you know it's going to be a blitz. Nance and Romo were talking about it. This is in Spags' DNA. He's going to send the house. He always sends the house. They had no blitz beater there.
Right.
They had no pickup set.
And I thought that weren't they in 5? Were they in 5?
5 wide with empty backfield. What are you doing? And by the way, that play was for the football game. That was the game. Because if they get it, Kansas City's sitting on 2 timeouts. Mm-hmm. The 2-minute warning had already happened. So you now can assure that you can kick a field goal, and if you get another first down, you kick a field goal on the last play of the game.
Right. But see, Jay, this is my thinking, right? And Mike, correct me before I make this statement if I'm right or wrong on this. Those overtime rules that we saw in the Super Bowl is the same throughout the playoffs, right?
Yes.
All right, so
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so if it's in the Super Bowl, I'm like, y'all, I'm taking the ball second, right? But you know what, JG? If this is the AFC Championship game and I'm playing the Chiefs, it don't matter. I'm going to tell you why it don't matter, because I know that's Patrick Mahomes.
Sure.
Kyle Shanahan's mindset should have been, I need to go score a touchdown regardless.
It should have been.
Regardless, right?
They had a 3rd and 4 in overtime that, again, they didn't pick up the blitz. He had to throw it away.
Like, you got to read the room. You got to understand the situation. You got to understand what's going on. Man, that's Pat Mahomes. That's like Michael Jordan. I know, like, I joked with Jay when he walked in here. Jay walked in here 10, 15 seconds before the show, right? Mike said, man, you got about 15 seconds. I said, Jay don't need 15 seconds. That's the mindset what I think when I think of Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes don't need 15 seconds to come beat you. One play and it's over with. So in those situations, if I know like who the opposing quarterback is,
that's it.
I'm going down there and I'm trying to get 6.
That's a great point. You have to take into account who you're playing. And the fact that I don't know that they took the ball second in a complete vacuum of not knowing the rules, because the referee before the coin toss clearly explained what the rules were.
Well, they usually tell, and who knows what happened last night, but there's usually a decision made by the coaching staff to tell the captain, if you win the toss, what are you going to do? Like, I don't think that's Fred Warner making that decision for the San Francisco 49ers. That's a decision beforehand.
Right, but honestly, I think in either scenario, you want the ball second. I mean, I understand that if Patrick Mahomes scores a touchdown, the game is over under the old rules. I get that. So to your point, in the AFC Championship, in a regular season game, rather, in the AFC Championship, I don't want Patrick Mahomes to touch the ball, because if I score a touchdown, the game is over in the regular season.
Right.
But in the playoffs, when I know he's going to see it, I have to see it second. I just have to.
Right.
Because I need to know what he's going to do.
And to put your team in a mindset where they understand what they need to do. Hey, if Patrick Mahomes goes down and scores a touchdown, then it's like, hey, you look around in the huddle. Hey, guys, we got to get a touchdown. You're not thinking about field goal. You're not thinking about none of that. You're just thinking about getting 7.
But you shouldn't be thinking that anyway when you playing Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs. You should never be thinking about 3 points at any drive.
But here's the difference.
At any point in the game.
It came up with the Chiefs. On the 3rd and 4, before the field goal, that San Francisco didn't convert. If they're already down 7, they go for it. And it changes your mindset on the 3rd and 4 call.
Absolutely.
You got Christian McCaffrey, who, by the way, was on a milk carton after the first drive. The guy disappeared for so long, particularly in the 3rd quarter. Then they got back to him when the game was in the balance. Too late. Yeah. You had this dude the whole game. He had 22 carries. I'm running that guy 30 times. He's the NFL's leading rusher. He's got all offseason to recover.
Yeah.
But when it was 3rd and 4, and the Chiefs missed, or the Niners missed, and then they kicked the field goal, if it was already a 7-point game, now you've got 2 plays to get 4 yards.
Yep.
And you know that. So you call different plays. You run a different game. I know that there's really no advantage statistically, at least analytically, in these mock conversions that they tried.
It was literally 50.5% to 49 point. It was essentially dead even.
And I would say this. I would say what that doesn't figure is your opponent.
The Mahomes factor.
Patrick Mahomes is going to score a touchdown. You want to be able to score a touchdown, and if you need 4 downs to get 10, that's better than 3 downs to get 10. Because if you get the ball first, you're operating under the 3 downs to get 10.
Jay, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
And I mentioned this to Earl pre-show, and G, I mentioned to you too. I think in hindsight, obviously it's the wrong move. In the moment when they missed the 3rd and 4 in overtime, they ended up kicking the field goal. Jake Moody makes it. I think that's the right play. On paper, if I'm Shanahan, I would have went for it. I know it's crazy, but as soon as Mahomes got the ball, and every time they showed McCaffrey on the bench after they kicked the field goal, he was already crying because he knew what the inevitable was going to happen.
Yeah.
It was over. No, I'm not kidding. Earl.
No, I know what you're saying.
They were up 3 in the Super Bowl. In overtime, McCaffrey's crying on the sideline because Patrick Mahomes has the ball. I know it's the wrong play or the wrong move from a coach. It's 3rd and 4. You just got blown up.
But Mike,
I think Mahomes on the sideline, you have to go for it.
Here's the problem. If you get the ball second, you never have to make that decision.
I would have taken it second. I'm with you guys. I'm saying in that situation when they
I know.
You're
You're saying, to me, they goofed up the coin toss. Mm-hmm. And getting the ball first is just giving Kansas City all the information they need. Do we need 3 or do we need 7? I want to know that before my drive starts. And by the way, they were faced with a 4th and 1, and they converted on a play that...
Great play call.
And when you go back and you look at this, and I love Bosa. You guys know what I think of Bosa.
Yeah.
On that 4th and 1, he bought the run.
He did.
He bought it so hard. If he sniffed out, and I love Tony Romo's comment was, never buy the run in that situation with Patrick Mahomes. If he doesn't buy the run and he plays Mahomes, and it goes to the theory, I'm never going to let anybody's best player beat me. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to let a pitcher beat me with his best pitch. You know who is their money man. Who are you going to entrust 4th and 1 to? Yeah. I'm playing Mahomes. And if I'm Bosa in the huddle, I'm saying I'm not even looking at a running back. Mahomes is running this ball. If he plays it that way, the Niners have a ring right now.
You're right, because I don't give a damn how hard Pacheco run. Like, Pat Mahomes is somebody that I'm afraid of. And it's so funny, Jay, because I like what Mike said, but McCaffrey was on the sideline damn near about to cry. As soon as that field goal went in, I said, hey, Siri, play NFL Next Legacy Moment, because we about to witness it.
Yeah.
we about to witness it right here, right now.
That's very funny.
I think everybody in the building knew exactly what was about to go down, man. That dude do not need that much time.
No.
You
just activated Siri.
You know, one of the craziest things is I was doing a little research for it, and I was just trying to get the feeling of the way, of how you got to go play the game against the Chiefs to win the game. And sometimes it infuriates me because, y'all can look like y'all playing, but y'all going through the motions. Hey, y'all remember Dark Knight Rises?
Yes.
Right? Y'all remember a good movie? Yeah. One of the better Batman movies, right? Christian Bale, shout out to him.
Any day.
Now, you remember when Batman was in that pit, right?
Yes.
So he's in that pit.
I already know where you're going.
You see what I'm saying?
I already know where you're going.
He in that pit. I just Googled, I said, how does Batman get out that pit? Now, he had been trying all that time. with that rope around his waist, trying to jump up out of that pit. And then what he realized was Bruce is only able to escape because he does not fear death. The rope used to catch him is, in actuality, was what held him back from the final jump. Once he learned to make the climb without safety or precautions, he finally embraced death and made it out alive. Now, when you play in the Kansas City Chiefs, you may think you're going all out. But as we sit here and analyze, there's 3rd and 4s where you didn't go all out. There's another 3rd and 4 where you could have won the game. There's another 3rd and 4s where you, instead of going after Pacheco on a dive, you would have said, listen, I got to go tackle Patrick Mahomes. You cannot go into these games in these Super Bowls with this training rope around trying to make a leap for your life. Sometimes you got to take the leap without the rope. And what y'all don't understand is...
That's a great analogy.
That rope is already around your neck by the time you get to playing it, and all Patrick Mahomes does is kick the chair away.
That's it, man. The rope that was meant to save you ends up being the rope that kills you.
Yep, there it is.
Yeah, no, it's. Can you put that graphic back up, the Chris Brown tweet? Let this marinate for a second. And I'm not ready to call him the GOAT yet. He's still got to do more.
I am.
He's not. That's a prisoner of the moment take.
No, it's a I hate Tom Brady take.
You can hate Tom Brady all you want, but the fact of the matter is that's a prisoner of the moment take. He's on his way, and he is further along in his career than Brady was. Not by much, by the way. But when you look at that,
that's crazy.
Let me tell you what that means for us here in our cozy little city. You getting past that anytime soon? Look at how young the defense is. Look at how wise they draft. They've got a coach who pretty much is on cruise control. He's like a sales rep that isn't making new sales calls. Mm-hmm. He's just managing the existing accounts.
Somebody gave him a book of business.
And he read it cover to cover, and now he's living it. And so you've got the perfect storm. You've got a wise head coach that has seen it all. Mm-hmm. He doesn't panic down 10. He's calm in the moment. Mm-hmm. He understands his resources and uses them wisely in appropriate situations. He's got a quarterback who is next level gifted. He is, to me, right now, just below Tom Brady as the GOAT. I mean, you still got to win 5 more to eclipse him. Okay?
Dang. I mean,
Brady's got 7, right?
He's 7-3. Mahomes is 3-1.
Good luck. Good luck. Because you said it earlier, Dan Marino, I think, went to Super Bowl in his second year, not his rookie season. Never got back.
Never sniffed.
And at the time, I remember I think I was a senior in high school or a junior or freshman in college. I just remember thinking, oh my God, the Browns, we're going to have to see this for the next 15 years. Mm-hmm.
Never saw it.
The Browns are never going to make it to a Super Bowl. And they didn't, but not because of Dan Marino. It was because of John Elway. But I look at where he is and where he's positioned, and right now he is fast-tracking to be the GOAT.
Can I give you one Mahomes stat real quick? And then, G, I know you got to go to the bathroom, so you can get up and go to the bathroom real quick.
Yeah.
How in the hell did you text him?
Yeah. I was like, I have to pee. Like,
we're on the same page. Yeah, we're on the same page. Tom Brady, in his 23-year NFL career, had 6 fourth-quarter game-winning drives in the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes is now tied with Tom Brady for most all-time.
Impressive.
6.
Now, some of those for the Patriots, they didn't need fourth-quarter drives. They were boat racing teams, and they were up by 10, 12, 14 in the fourth quarter. But a lot of their Super Bowls were very, very close, with the exception of the one he won in Tampa.
Yeah, they were all.
That was a blowout. I think it was like 31-8 or something, 31-9.
The one they beat against the Rams, 13-3, was close, but it was never close. LA was never really in that game.
You had on here to grade the Super Bowl, and I want to do that.
We'll do that real quick while G's in the back.
Yeah,
let's grade the Super Bowl.
This was really weird for me. The game in total, for me, was a B+. I thought it was a little sloppy. The muff punt, I think, had a lot to do with the outcome of the game. Mm-hmm. There were the Chiefs fumbled in the red zone. The Niners on their first drive fumbled deep into Kansas City territory. The Mahomes pick was uncharacteristic. The fluky Achilles injury, to me, was like you just lost the heart and soul of your defense.
Yeah.
And they still forced overtime and could have won this game. There were just a lot of things that I don't want to see in an A+ perfect stellar game. I think of the Kansas City-Buffalo game from a couple years ago as the greatest NFL game I'll ever watch. It had tons of points. Defense was optional. But the fact that Mahomes scored the go-ahead points with they got the ball with 22 seconds to go. Everybody in Buffalo was celebrating. They're going to the Super Bowl. This was it. And Patrick Mahomes comes out in 15 or 22 seconds.
13 seconds.
Boom, 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 game. And I've never seen anything like it. But this game to me was good only because of the last 2 drives in regulation and the overtime.
I got to give it an A. And when I said that, I was making sure that I wasn't having recency bias.
Sure.
But I legit believe this was the best Super Bowl that I personally have
ever
seen.
Oh, wow. No kidding.
And mind you, I'm only 36 years old. So
well, you saw the other overtime Super Bowl.
Yeah, I have, but I just thought this was better. I think every component to this was good. I do believe that the muff punt was sloppy, but the Christian McCaffrey turnover, that was the defense forcing that turnover. Pacheco, that was the defense forcing that turnover.
Sure.
The same thing with the Patrick Mahomes pick. That was a great defensive play. I think these are 2 teams that were premier teams in the league all season long, 2 teams that have very good defenses, and you've seen defense take center stage for the better part of the game. And then you've seen a game that was close in score throughout the game, a game that went to overtime and had the league's best player deliver a legacy moment in the game's biggest moment was when you talk about clutch time performances. So to me, I just think every little piece of this made this the best Super Bowl that I saw.
Interesting.
The muff punt was definitely sloppy, but the Christian McCaffrey fumble, the defender forced that.
Yeah.
The same thing for Pacheco, the defender forced that. To me, we were able to see defenses really take center stage in a league where offense is premium, in a league where people just love to see a bunch of points scored. I love the back and forth of the game kind of being a heavyweight title bout, right?
Yeah.
And then you get to the end of the fourth quarter in overtime where endurance is a big thing, and you can tell teams were tired, right? And it's just every aspect of it was man, this is a damn good football game.
Yeah.
With 2 damn good teams, and then you got the best player in the league come through with a major legacy
Y'all
moment.
like that game?
I did.
See, I gave it a B+. He said the greatest Super Bowl he's ever seen.
Yeah, I gave it an A. I gave it an A.
Yeah.
I gave this a C+.
Why?
Because here's the thing. If I'm gonna have defense, first of all, it was too many 15-yard penalties. I didn't like they were sloppy with the penalty game. Second of all, I just felt that the offense weren't crisp, right? It just looked like everything was sluggish.
Is that because of great defense or just because the offenses were sluggish?
I think the offense was just sluggish. I've seen better defensive plays, defensive efforts where there's more sacks, there's more interceptions, there's more tackles for loss. It just seemed like this game was in slow motion a little bit, in terms of the execution of it. I didn't even like the announcers. I was just I would have rather had Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. I was just this is not, even they was disjointed a little bit.
Yeah,
they
Buck
couldn't
and
find
Aikman are my choice too.
They couldn't find the rhythm in that. So I was just sitting there okay, well, I didn't know. I thought that the Kansas City Chiefs offense would have had a little more rhythm, and I think they found it right just at the right time to get it. And I also did not like the 49ers play style when they was up. They had an opportunity to bury them. They could have put something on them and got them up out of here, and they didn't, and let them hang around.
Yeah, I sent to the text chat that I think I said Kyle Shanahan is fatally flawed. To me, his legacy took a huge hit, because I thought that he had learned from his previous Super Bowl debacles. And when you're up 28-3, and I know he wasn't the head coach, he was the offensive coordinator. When you're up 28-3, and your offense completely disappears the rest of the game, that's what it looked like that yesterday to me. When they were up 10-0, I thought if they just keep doing what they're doing, they're going to win.
Okay, yeah.
And Christian McCaffrey became a memory. Where was Kittle? Did George Kittle miss the flight to Vegas?
Man,
he was MIA.
Kittle is like that every other game. They don't even utilize him.
My man Chris Conley had more receiving yards.
Conley looked great. Here's a problem for Kittle, that this is going to be a stain on his legacy forever. My man's in the locker room getting looked at for an injury. His replacement has the critical holding penalty that cost them dearly. He comes into the game on the very next one. If you're in the locker room, unless it's an equipment issue, like, it's pretty serious. And he, like, Corey texted me, he's like, I will forever question this man's toughness.
Well, what about?
No. It was an equipment thing. It wasn't an injury.
Why did he go to the locker room? They said it was a shoulder.
George Kittle's played through every injury in the book.
They said Kittle is in the locker room with a shoulder.
I thought that was an equipment thing. Kittle's toughness is something.
I thought that too, but they didn't. If it was, they never cleaned that up on the broadcast. They went down to is it Evan, who was doing the Chiefs, the Niners, and said Kittle is in the locker room with a shoulder. Okay.
Kittle toughness is two words that go hand in hand. Like, there's no way he missed a play.
Why was he not? His replacement
was the guy at number 9. Yeah.
That pretty much you can say was one of the plays that cost his team a Super Bowl.
I'll say this before Mike move on. Christian McCaffrey is the 49ers' best weapon on offense, right?
Clearly.
And they clearly could have utilized him more than what they did. I don't give a damn about the 22 carries. I told Mike this morning. After Pat Mahomes threw the interception to open up the second half, they got the ball back. The first 6 plays of the game was straight pass plays.
Yep. Straight
pass plays. You got the NFL's leading rusher, the offensive player of the year, a dude who can beat you in so many different ways. And I felt like that's how you keep your foot on their neck. This is how you keep the ball away from Pat Mahomes as much as possible. Yeah. This is how you put more points on the board. Christian McCaffrey is a straight-up dog, right? And that dude should have just been utilized better than what he was.
I thought so, too. It was either the last drive of regulation or their overtime drive. I think it was regulation. I could be wrong. I think every first down was McCaffrey after he disappeared. And they moved the ball right down the field. And in most instances, they were 2nd and 2.
Yeah.
They were 2nd and 3. He was getting big chunks of yardage on first down. And I'm like, yeah, that's what it looked like to start the game, too. Why did you have this huge gap in the middle of the game where you forgot that you had number 23? It was so mystifying to me. I didn't get it. And for me, like I said, Spags, all-time legend, one of the all-time great defensive coordinators. And Kyle Shanahan, although a brilliant offensive mind, I think got lost in his play sheet. I think he got nervous. He looked nervous to me the whole game. And you've now blown 3 10-point leads in the Super Bowl.
It's time to go have a conversation with Dad.
That's going to be in the first paragraph of your resignation.
It's time to go have a conversation with Dad because Dad would have kept giving the ball to Terrell Davis.
I would think so.
And he would have ran his way to another Super Bowl.
Yeah, I would think so.
It is